The house screamed again last night. I bolted upright in bed, heart hammering. The walls shuddered as if alive, the wail echoing through every crevice. "You shouldn't have stayed," it seemed to cry. "I moved in a week ago, lured by the cheap rent. No neighbors, no noise, except for the nightly screams." I tried to ignore it at first, but last night, the screams called my name. Tonight, I pressed my ear to the floorboards, desperate to understand. Beneath the house, something shifted, a slithering, hungry sound. Then the whisper came, cold as death. I should have trusted my instincts about the house. The locals whispered about it, their faces pale, their words laced with unease. But the price was irresistible, and I needed a fresh start. The first night I heard it, a distant scream, faint and muffled. I convinced myself it was the wind. By the second night, the screams grew louder, sharper, as though the house itself was in agony. My dreams twisted into nightmares, filled with voices begging, pleading, warning. Last night, I couldn't sleep. The air felt heavy, pressing against my chest like an unseen hand. The screaming started again at midnight, shaking the walls, vibrating the floor beneath me. I followed the sound, heart pounding, flashlight trembling in my grip. It led me to the basement door, a place I hadn't dared to explore. When I opened it, the air was thick, reeking of decay. The screaming stopped abruptly, replaced by a low growl. Shadows moved at the edges of my light, and I realized they weren't shadows at all. "Help us," a voice rasped from the darkness. Behind it, something inhuman lunged toward me. Now, I'm trapped here, part of the house's chorus. Tonight, someone else will hear our screams. I should have walked away when I first saw the house. Its warped frame leaned like a drunk against the skeletal trees, its windows dark, lifeless. The locals had warned me, their words tinged with fear. "The house screams at night," they said. I thought it was folklore, a story to keep outsiders away. I was wrong. The first night, the sound came just after midnight. A long, mournful wail echoed through the walls, setting my teeth on edge. It didn't sound like wind or creaking wood. It sounded alive. I brushed it off, blaming the old pipes or my imagination. By the third night, the screams grew unbearable, vibrating through my chest, shaking the furniture. It wasn't random. It felt deliberate, like a warning. I decided to investigate. Flashlight in hand, I traced the noise to the basement door, a place I hadn't dared to open. The air grew colder with each step down. The screams stopped abruptly, plunging me into a suffocating silence. My flashlight flickered, revealing claw marks gouged into the walls. At the bottom of the stairs, I saw them, figures, gaunt and hollow-eyed, their mouths wide in perpetual screams. "Leave," one whispered. But before I could react, something massive stirred in the darkness behind them. A guttural growl rumbled through the air. I ran, slamming the basement door behind me. But the house wasn't done. The walls groaned, and the screaming started again, deafening now, my name woven into the cries. I'm trapped. Every door I open leads me back inside. The screaming never stops, louder and more insistent. They were right, the house screams at night. But what they didn't tell me is why, or that soon I'd be screaming too.